I'm not a journalist. I'm a lead singer in a rock band, but I'm a big fan. And I just would just start talking. I heard you guys are coming. You guys are going to be over here September 24th, kicking off a tour with Rose Tattoo, which is just
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
massive. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, just like you said, it's going to be very cool. They're a very historical act, and just a pleasure to be aligned with them, and especially in Australia.
Yeah, it's
So
it's like home turf for
yeah,
them. It's like ACDC Rose Tattoo. We're here
exactly.
playing with
Yeah,
an ACDC tribute band, and so we get to see those ACDC fans, just like the hardest working band out there. And Rose
yeah.
Tattoo, I think, as of right now, is one of the hottest bands. I don't know, like a resurgence in awesome rock and roll music. So the fact that you guys are on tour with them, I think, is like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I think as far as a concert goer is concerned, over there, it's going to be, a fun event. So
Yeah.
I think everybody should get there, and it's going to be crazy.
And you guys just released Volume 10, the new
Yeah,
record. And I checked out all the
yeah.
videos, good time. Just like it's really cool. And I was thinking, like, man, what am I gonna ask Josh Todd, like lead singer to lead singer? Like you're ahead of me by 10 to 15 years, but
Yeah.
that means I came up and in like 99, I was listening to music, and when Lit Up came out, there was no cool music. There was no cool music. You guys were like the only ones, like the purveyors of great rock and roll. You're great lead singer, great guitars, and I thought, like, it just took me back to like when I was standing at a school dance wearing a Kiss T-shirt, thinking, man, when are they gonna play some cool music? And your songs come on. So I think it's like I think it's the most amazing thing that you guys are just a rock and roll band and you just stuck to your guns over this many years.
Yeah, thanks. That has worked for us sometimes, and sometimes it's worked against us. But for sure, we came out when it was rap rock and
Yeah,
what I call like shoegazer rock, where it was like dudes with Buddy Holly glasses on
yeah,
looking down at their shoes. And here we come out and there was nothing like us. And it's funny because we were just a four on the floor rock and roll band, but like there was nobody like us at that
right.
time. And still to this day, we've been out on our own little island,
Yeah.
and we continue to just do our thing. And we really based our reputation on our live show and toured a lot. And because of that, we have this great audience, and we're having this very successful, quiet career for 25 years now.
Yeah, you guys, it's like the most respect, band guy to band guy. You guys just toured your asses off and like never stopped. And we're in the middle
Yes, sir.
of a month long tour right now. And I know how difficult it is. It sucks, like you miss home, but there's something like
Yeah.
show day, and you're like all those thoughts go out of your mind, and you're like, we gotta go, we got a job to do, we gotta kick some ass, and this is what we
Yeah.
gotta do. And I think you guys are like just it never stopped. Like you just kept going and you kept touring. And even when you had the break, but you came back, and it just like it was the working rock and roll band the way it's supposed to be done.
Yes. And still to this day,
Yep.
we're still working in that way, and like you said, it really forces you to live in the moment, because if you get too caught up in how much time you're not at home, and friends fall by the wayside, and you have no home life, and you have this
Absolutely.
really strange existence that nobody really understands unless they do it too. you
Hmm.
know you have to just kind of cut yourself off from that and just live in the moment, and then and really soak up those times on stage, because that makes up for the whole fucking rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that weird tour bubble you get into where it's like the
Yeah.
outside world ceases to exist, and all you got is your close your band and the bands you're
Yes.
touring with, and nothing else really matters.
Yeah. And because of it, it does eat people alive. I've seen it get the best of crew guys and band guys and everybody. You have to be very, very careful, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I myself have been sober for 15, almost 16 years. And
That's awesome.
I know you're a sober lead singer too, and
Yeah, yeah,
you've talked a lot about it. I've saw a bunch of interviews, but I guess my question for you is being sober, what is it? I know what it's like to me, like the creative
yeah,
process. Like it's almost even better. There's two things I equate to it. Like I feel like I'm so much better frame of mind, clear-headed, you know.
yes,
I can think and I can work and I can do the things that I need to do without being
yeah,
bogged down by the demons, the addictions.
yep, yes. Hands down, being sober across the board, everything is so
Yeah.
much better. And that's the bullshit that addicts tell themselves. Oh, I can only be creative if I'm so fucked up.
Mhm.
Doing X, Y, and Z, and it's all bullshit. Like you get more accomplished. I've been sober almost 30 years. 30 years in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And like I just now that I've had so much time away from drinking and using, I just sometimes I have regret on how much time I gave it,
Yeah.
because I just felt like, wow, I wasted so much of my young life where you're bulletproof, where
Yeah.
you're at the top of your game, you're the best you're ever going to be, your body, your mind, you know what I mean, your instincts, your voice, everything, and I was dedicating so much of my time to drinking and using, which I wish I wouldn't have, but I had to do what I had to do to get where I am today. And I got to just stay in the moment. But yes, for sure. Without it, hands down, I'm more creative. I get more done.
Yeah.
Um, it's my greatest asset, my sobriety.
It's
Without it, I
it's
have nothing,
it's like that. It happened for a reason, and it happened
Yes.
to get me to this point to where I
Yeah.
needed to be like I couldn't have done it with it still using. My other thing that I always think about, and especially going into like we have a show later tonight, but I see like other bands and they'll be sitting at the bar drinking, having a good time, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, go ahead. Because I'm gonna come out there and fucking destroy you every single night, no matter what. Like I can see it, and I'm like, don't even fucking worry
Yeah.
about it.
That's good. That's a good mentality to have. Keep that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got
Sure.
tons of stuff. Just like a million questions. I'm a talk to me about. There's something about Buckcherry and those songs that you wrote that are so unbelievably catchy and so unbelievably relatable. I'm a strip club DJ back in Nebraska, so
Nice.
I play. I'm telling you, Crazy Bitch comes on every single night, and I think it's one of the
Let's
greatest songs
go.
ever because it crosses not only like it's a great song, but black people, white people, old people, young people, girls, boys. If I know that I need to push the party over the top, I hit Crazy Bitch, and it's like a lightning
Yeah.
bolt strikes the club. Talk to me a little bit about that and what it's like being writing songs like that.
You know, you first and foremost, I'm a fan of music and songs, and I like everything. And I grew up in Orange County, California, and at that time, I was surfing and skateboarding, and listening to a lot of independent records before I got into like major label rock records. I was listening to all punk rock records, like
Mhm.
so. Anyways, at one point, NWA dropped Straight Outta Compton,
Yeah,
and for little skate kids in Orange County, we were like, this shit is fucking amazing. Everybody loved these records, Beastie Boys and NWA. And so I started getting into rap music back then, and always a fan of hip hop. So, anyways, cut to Crazy Bitch. I'm driving around in my car, and in LA, it was in between working and stuff. And I just started singing. Kim Kardashian had just put out a sex tape. This is right at the beginning of before Kim Kardashian is who she is, and Paris Hilton had dropped a sex tape, and I just started thinking, God, it's amazing how like somebody can launch their entertainment career off like a homemade porn. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's basically what it was. So then I started thinking about all the crazy girls I was with when I was in high school, and I started singing this song, this chorus, and I didn't want to forget it, so I sang it on my mom's answering machine. I had no cell phone or like
cool.
recording device at the time. My mom and I are tight. I said, Mom, I don't want to forget this. I sang it down. And then when I approached Keith with it, I said, hey, I want this to be a rock song, but I want it to sound like a hip hop groove. I want it to be very simple, very simple. Don't overthink it, like two parts and that's it, and so he delivered some music that was great, and we put it together, and then it just sat around for 3 years before it was on a
Oh.
record. Yeah, yeah. So it's just so weird how that song is like now it's had this life, this lifespan that's incredible. It's
Yeah.
like people are still talking about that song, and we just thought it was going to be a really great fan song, like because of the lyrical content, it would never get on the radio, and then it turned out to be our biggest hit.
And we play our band is called the Midnight Devils. We're like a glam rock band, but it's like hyper glam, like very reminiscent of California, of LA, but like on
Right,
push to 11. You kind of grew up
right.
your first band. I know you've talked a ton about it, but tell me, I guess the part that intrigues me the most is LA, the Sunset Strip.
Yeah,
Your like what it was like in the early 90s out there, like because we've been out there, we've
yeah,
played the whiskey, and it's fucking cool, it's great, but it
yeah,
wasn't like it was, so we're done, like
yeah.
okay, we've played the whiskey, we don't need to do it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so fortunate that I got to experience the madness that it was the Sunset Strip at that time. We caught it right about a year before it died, right?
Yeah.
And so it was crazy. I was in a band called Slamhound. I was 19. I moved to Hollywood. I lived right above the whiskey on Clark Street in an apartment, and I would take acid and I would climb up on the roof of the whiskey, and I would just sit there and kind of like you know, dream about like I was tripping out, but I would like just think about like I just want to conquer this fucking city. I want to be the biggest, like in my head, I just and I want to do it fast. And so I'm a hard ass worker even when I was fucked up. So
Mm.
we were on the cover of Rock City News 6 months after we put together Slamhound. We really worked our ass off, and we were very close to getting signed to Atlantic at one point, and then we got shuffled around, and thank God, because it was really a blessing in disguise, because we were all very fucked up. It was
Mm.
hell on wheels. If we would have got any money or any kind of notoriety in the commercial notoriety, I think we would have been dead by now. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise, but I really loved that band. We were together for 5 years.
It was kind of a cool time because it was like after Guns N' Roses, but
Yeah,
before like grunge had hit, and it was just there's that
yeah,
that really cool style of music that was like the early 90s glam. That would like
yeah.
it never happened, and it only happened in LA, and it never happened anywhere
Yeah,
else.
but yeah, I was never in like glam bands. I came from Orange County, California. I was, in like just punk rock bands. And
Yeah.
so when I got up to LA, I met these dudes and they were all into that, but they were like they had this punk rock thing going on. So it was a good mesh of personalities, and that's what was really unique about that band. But when we would go out flyering, you'd go out on the strip and you couldn't even see the sidewalk. There was so many band flyers,
Yeah.
from bands out there promoting for their shows. And it was insane. It was like the whiskey, the Roxy and Gazzari's at that time was going on. Gazzari's is long gone, but it
Right.
was that, and they were packed with bands every fucking night, and it was nuts.
And it's like not like that anymore, and it never will be as this weird time and place. But speaking
Yeah,
of like that punk rock roots,
never.
I was listening to your record last night. I had the earbuds in, and I'm like, listening, kind of writing some stuff. We're stuck in like a hotel in Melbourne, and I'm just kind of
Right.
writing. And your one of the songs come on. I'm like, holy shit, this is a punk rock song. This is fucking great.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
guys still kind of harken back to those punk rock roots. And me and my drummer, we grew up in punk rock bands, touring in a van, in a shitty van when you're 18,
Yeah.
leaving home, and you just did it. And we've been doing it for 20 years, but you guys still putting out songs and kind of showing that side of your, I guess, your evolution, that we still grew up on punk rock music.
Yeah. Yeah. And the great thing about those punk rock bands that I grew up with, they had really great, memorable chanting
Yeah.
choruses, because that's the only way they were going to get people at their shows, because they didn't have a major label putting them on the radio or anything like that. So they had to have a record that was full of catchy songs so that, fans would come to the shows and sing along and slam dance and do all that stuff. So that's kind of where I got my songwriting, chops, because like if you listen to Buckcherry songs, I always want to write songs that people can remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not about rock radio anymore. It's gone back to like in the independent days. So and I feel for all these baby bands coming up, because they got it hard, because now information is just spread. You know, it's just spread wide, and you can't get anybody to pay attention to you. You got like 5 seconds to get people's attention. That's
Yep.
it. That's how much time you have now. So it's very tough to build a fan base and to get all that. You have to be very unique. You got to write really good songs. You got to have something that's real, that people latch onto, that gets popular, and then you start building, your empire.
And we just we put out a record on July 5th, and we started our Australian tour on the 5th. So we didn't have a lot of time to build up. And I'm thinking to myself, like, to what you were saying, it's like we didn't have time to do press or promo or anything like that. And I'm like, in this day and age, does it really matter? Like, where it comes, the meat and potatoes is in those live shows, I feel, and in your touring and capturing fans.
Yeah.
It's like you got to have those songs that fans like are gonna go, I need that. I want that in my life. Like those are the
Yeah, but
songs.
now content is really important.
Yep.
It's like this. Like
Yeah.
somebody will find this and they'll be like, "This is cool. I didn't know he did this. I didn't know he was like this." And people like to find that, and then they get into this, and then they go check out some song, that they didn't know about, or some record. You know what I mean? So you need content. You
Hmm.
need to make videos, low budget videos, and have a lot of content on YouTube, and build your social medias, and you need to do all that kind of stuff, and put a lot of time and effort into that, and find a good social media person. That's where you need to put the marketing dollars, if you
Hmm.
have them. You know what I mean? Not like spending 50 grand on a radio campaign to push to rock radio that doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So um and streaming for sure.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of playlists and all that. That's how a lot of new, like we have now, our demographic at Buckcherry shows is 16 to 65. It's
Absolutely.
insane. We have people coming to our shows, and we're like, they're so young, and we're like, how did you find out about Buckcherry? You on a playlist. I loved you guys, and then I started, searching more, and I found out you guys have all these records, and then we just started listening, and we became huge fans, and then they come to the show, and then
Yeah.
they come to the show, and they're like, wow, man, this is dope, and then they go to another show, and
Yep.
that's how it works.
Yeah. And it's really that word of mouth. It's like the spark that lights the flame almost. And you got to like go out and
Yeah,
touch somebody, however you uniquely touch somebody to get them
yeah,
interested.
yeah. But I remember not too long ago, a few years ago, somebody said to me, you know what, music's gonna be like flowing like water at some point. It's gonna be free. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, it's gonna be free, and just streaming like water. And I was like, oh, it totally bummed me out, because here I have labored over songwriting and getting to a place where I could write a good, just putting out a good rock record takes years to
Yes.
figure out how to do it right. You know what I mean? Like, so when I heard those words, I was just like, oh fuck. But it's just change. That's
Yep.
it. Change is it's uncomfortable. But once you get into the change and you start seeing, okay, it's new and it's weird, but there is ways that it can benefit you, and you can work with it, and you just got to figure it all out. You have to be open-minded.
Yeah. And talk to me about maybe like your singer influences. I'll tell you, when I first saw you guys when I was, a young guy, I looked up and I see this
Yeah,
this fucking tattooed lead singer with cool hair, cool pants. I'm like, this is fucking great. Like this is what I wanted out of a lead singer. And I think
right.
that kind of tells me what I want to know. Like David Lee Roth, I want to be like Paul Stanley. I want to be like these great lead singers that came before me that could kind of lead a crowd and lead a party.
Right. What was important for me was I got to tell you, the only reason I do music is for myself, first
Mhm.
and foremost, because it's the only thing that consistently makes me happy, you
Absolutely.
know? So that's the honest truth. That's why I do it. So then I have to ask the question to myself, who do I want to be? Like, what do I want to be? You know? And I want to be unforgettable. That's first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like, whatever that means. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be unique in a way that people go away from our show and they go, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I hate it, but it was fucking something I'd never seen before. And it
Yep.
was great. You know, that's all I want. You know, if I can accomplish that, because you're never going to get everybody, but you know, you can get a big amount of people, you know. But what I always say to myself before I walk on stage is I get into gratitude. I'm so grateful I'm here.
Yeah.
If this is it, if this is it, Josh, if this is the last one, then what is it going to be? You know what I mean? And
Yes.
then I get into state of mind like, all right, I'm going to, you know, deliver it like it's my last one, you know. So I get into that, and then I try to just stay in the moment, hit my marks, stay on time, stay on key. You know, really, if I'm dealing with an illness or any adversity that day, you know, just kind of go into my wheelhouse and give the best performance I can be, whatever that is. If I gotta dance more because I'm a little ill and I can't hit some of the notes that I can hit when I'm, you know, 100%, then I just work around it. And, you know, that's what real entertainers do. You know,
Yep.
now it's changed. I mean, like, so many of these big rock shows now, these big arena rock shows, they're not even live. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So um, most of the pop shows are not live. You know what I mean? Buckcherry's always been live. I mean, now we throw in a few little musical samples on like "Sorry" and a couple other songs, but that's it. We don't have pre-recorded vocals or anything like that. You know, so it all comes down to at the end of the day, like, okay, what do I have to work with? And that's what makes you like a real entertainer, because that's when you gotta like work on the fly. You know, you have
Yep.
to develop more of your game as
Yep.
far as how to command an audience, how to give them a show when you know you may not be 100%, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think about that all the time too, especially being on tour. And I write it down a lot. Like we're supposed to, we encounter these hurdles, and in day in day out, show day, it seems like the hurdles are, they come in even bigger. And you're like, what am I
Yeah, you're a
gonna
human.
do? I got to overcome these because I can't let the audience know that I'm struggling on the side. So
Yep.
I have to build it up, and I got to sack up, and I got to do what I got to do to give this audience that paid money to see us the best show they
Yes,
can.
sir.
And I think
Yes, sir.
that's what it is. It's like the show must go on no matter what. This is what we have.
The show must go on no matter what. That's right.
Incredible, dude. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying that. You gave me a lot of a lot of wisdom and encouragement, and talking to somebody that's gone through it and has been going through it as a lead singer, as a entertainer, as a guy in a band. What you said about how much it costs to stream a song and how much time and effort that we put into writing songs and crafting songs. Like you're sitting in your
Yeah.
couch, like, man, I spent however many hours writing the song, and somebody will stream it for nothing. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, yeah. People really take that for granted, you know,
Yeah,
and it's across the board. It's with every genre of music, you know. People are getting pissed, musicians and hip hop artists and everybody,
yeah,
because you know, when I hear a hip hop track nowadays, you know, I'm so like I study songs, you know,
yeah.
and songwriting and song, and the hip hop genre is like a different approach to songwriting, you know, and the way they do it, it's like crazy. And I'm like, man, this shit just seems so difficult to do, and I know it is, but these guys have been practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing their craft till they get to a point where they get a song that pops. Then
Yeah.
they go, oh, this pops because I touched on this and this and this. And then they kind of start getting a formula, and, you know, it starts working for them, and they
Yep.
start knowing what's good and what's not before they even put it out. And that takes a long time. And that's the same thing with rock artists and pop artists. And so, yeah, you know, to what you were saying, it's just that people, they don't understand. And that's why we get upset when we don't get a return on
Right.
that. Like they used to back in the day, you know?
But on the other side, like is that other double-sided coin where I feel like I'm doing this because I love this and I have to get these lyrics or what I have to get this
exactly.
out of my brain and into the universe. And if it succeeds, it
Yeah,
succeeds. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At least I was an artist and created it.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No, that's where the gratitude comes in.
And you guys are in the States right now. You come over here, you have been doing a bunch of shows, or you did like where you were in the Midwest and they did Canada and you're coming over here
Yeah,
in September. We're clearing the path
yeah,
for you.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, we toured a lot last year, and now we're just doing weekend dates.
Yeah.
So I fly out tomorrow to Toronto, do a couple shows, and fly home on Sunday, and so on until we get to Australia, and yeah, that's what we're doing right now.
Do you like that, or do you miss the big long runs on the tour bus and the van and all that?
It's a different dynamic. And when we started it, I was hating it, and
Yeah.
I'm talking to Stevie and I'm like, this is fucking exhausting. We go out and we're gone for 4 days, but it feels like we're gone for a month because just the flying and then the shows and then getting up early and flying. But now we're in the rhythm and we get to see our family like every
Yeah.
week. So now it's like, I just did, like you were saying, I did Iowa and Canada, and then I was home on Sunday, and I was in the Pacific Ocean with my son surfing on Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then I had a day off yesterday. I rehearsed, and I mean today, and then I go and fly and go to Toronto tomorrow. So
Yeah.
it's all working.
It's very cool, and it's a cool. The idea is very cool of being able to do that and not burn yourself out on the big long stretches. Like I said, we're in 3 weeks right now. We got one more week. We're headed to Japan for our first time over there, and
That's awesome.
we won't be home till like August 2nd, and then we have a few weeks off, and we go to Europe after that. So it's like it's the crazy part, but we're a working band, and it's what we love, and it's what we do. It just wears on you as I guess as a human,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you got to grind when the grind is there. So just
Yep,
do it, like
absolutely.
you go over, wait till you get to Japan. You're gonna
Yeah,
just love it, and they're just amazing rock fans,
cool.
and you're gonna love it. And you start doing, you get consistent there, go there periodically, and you have a great fan base there. No matter what. So
Yeah, and that was the goal. Like so I grew up in Nebraska, and as a kid from
yeah,
Nebraska, like people don't go to Japan, especially if you're in a rock band. So when we were talking about this tour, I was like, man, my biggest goal, live at Budokan, all those things those great,
yeah,
made in the East and all this, and our tour manager's like, why don't you just tag Japan onto the end of the Australian tour? I was like, that makes all the
yeah.
sense. And like it's what you said. Like, cool, if the band implodes at the end of this month, I can say we went to Japan. Like I can be a happy
Right.
guy. If I never get to do this ever
Yeah,
again, I can be
yeah,
happy with what we've created.
yeah. Absolutely.
It's very cool. And I wish you all the best of luck, man. It's like one of the coolest things to talk to you as a singer, guy that I look
Thanks,
up to.
man.
Yeah.
I like talking to you because you're sober, and that's
Yeah.
that made it even cooler for me.
Yeah, our whole band
Yeah.
actually is we didn't set out to be a sober band, but it just
Let's
turned out
go.
that like we all had extreme problems with alcohol.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
so we all got sober and then the band formed and we're like, oh, this is really good. And I think being a sober rock band really adds to we can do more work than most other bands. We're a three-piece rock band
Yes, you can.
and like we don't get hungover. It's really that simple.
And you have each other when you're in these places far away, and there might not be a meeting, and you can all like run stuff off each other,
Yeah.
and be there for each other, and that's what's great about it.
Yeah, I hope you have a blast over here in Australia. I know you guys are just going to destroy the place. I can even read off the shows. Rosemont Hotel in Perth. That's Thursday, September 24th. Prince Band Room, Melbourne. That's where we're at right now. Metro Theatre in
Yeah,
Sydney, and then the Triffid in Sydney. We just saw Municipal Waste there. So
let's go. We're looking forward to it. It's gonna be
yeah,
fun.
I appreciate it, Josh. Thank you so much for everything.